Hi there, good evening, dear friends. Here is Earth Measured speaking, and today I would like to speak with you about the temperature of the Sun. Why is this necessary to speak about the temperature of the Sun, and what is the link with the flat Earth? The link is that we have moved the Sun. It is no more at 150 million kilometers far from the Earth, and we know that the Sun is only at 5,000, 6,000 kilometers away from the Earth, and so we know that being so near to the Earth, probably also the temperature has to be different from that postulated by the science. They say, in fact, that the surface temperature of the Sun is about 5,700 degrees Kelvin. So we have to wonder if this is true, since they postulate also the fact that it is very far, but it is not. We have checked with Eratosthenes, for example, the fact that being the Earth flat, the Sun has to be near to the Earth. So, is it wrong, this temperature? They say that in the core the Sun is about 15 million degrees. But how can they say this? Probably with energetic calculations, they have established the fact that this must to be the inside temperature, and they say that the surface temperature has to be 5,700 Kelvin because of the color of the light emitted by the Sun. With the spectroscopy, they say that the Sun is a black body, and the color of the Sun indicates, due to the fact that it is an incandescent body, this color says that the temperature must be that. But we have to object the fact that luminosity, that light, is not generated only by incandescence, but also by photoluminescence, bioluminescence, radioluminescence. So there are a lot of ways to generate the light. We could think that the Sun could be much less hot. The temperature is not so high. The science says that the nuclear reactions of fusion are generating the energy necessary to produce the heat and also the light. They say that hydrogen atoms are fusing together because they are heating with a great energy and forming thus helium. The total amount of mass resulting is less than the mass of the hydrogen. For example, they say that every second 594 millions of tons of hydrogen are forming 590 millions of tons of helium due to the reactions of nuclear fusion, hot fusion. And there are hence 4 millions of tons of mass that gets lost, and this is due to the fact that they say, mainstream science say, that this is forming the necessary amount of energy that is given to the Earth. Okay, they say this, but the hypothesis that we are trying to do is that probably there are fusion reaction, but cold fusion reaction. According to spectroscopy, in fact, we have the presence of hydrogen and helium in the Sun, and we wanted to accept these results, but fusion can also be cold fusion. Only that science is trying to hide the possibility of cold fusion because they are receiving big amounts of money for the research on hot fusion. This is because they wanted to arrive to build nuclear plants that use hot fusion. They are trying, in fact, to build a nuclear fusion plant in the south of France. They will use big magnets to take the incandescent fluid away from the walls of the plants, because it is necessary to arrive to 100 million degrees to obtain hot fusion reactions. And we know that this steel, for example, is melting at the temperature of only 1500 and something degrees. So from a technical point of view, it is very difficult to produce a plant able to produce this kind of reactions, while cold fusions is very easy to obtain, as Fleischmann and Pons in the 80s showed us. We will speak more about cold fusion, but now we have to realize if it is really possible that cold fusion reactions are happening in the sun. Because when we make an hypothesis, we have to make an hypothesis that is in accord with all phenomena implied in the aspect we are analyzing. The hypothesis has to be correct, and then science has to validate it with experiments. We are not able, and I have not the economical possibility to make experiments, but the hypothesis I want to make has to be correct and as much scientific as possible. So, to have in the sun cold fusion reaction, we must have electrical triggers. Electrical reactions that trigger the cold fusion reaction and take alive this reaction. So I was thinking, how is this possible? I arrived to conclude that this can be possible considering the rank effect. The rank effect is a phenomenon that implies masses of gas rotating. When a mass of gas starts rotating, we have the center part of this rotating amount of gas that gets colder, while the peripheral mass gets hotter. And the rotation established thus a difference of temperature between the core and the external surface of the amount of gas. This principle is studied, for example, in meteorology, because scientists think that it is a cause implied in the formation of tornadoes. So we have in the sun a rotation of gas, and this is confirmed by spectroscopy that confirmed the fact that the gas contained in the surface of the sun are rotating with a cycle of 27 days. This does not imply that the sun is a sphere, because this can happen also if the sun is a disk. You can think, for example, to the convective motions of water contained in a pot. The water is forming a cylinder, but however we have motion of water, convective motion of water due to the boiling temperatures. So in the sun we have this motion confirmed by spectroscopy that see a blue shift from one side of the sun and a red shift on the other side of the sun. And this is influenced probably by the moon that has a sidereal cycle. Sidereal means that is measured according to the position of the star. The moon has a sidereal cycle of 27 days. So this rotation about its proper axis of the surface of the sun is due probably to a certain interaction with the moon. This rotation produces, I suppose, a difference in temperature between the surface and the core of the sun, and the core has to be colder. This is different from what science states. The core has to be colder, and for the Seebeck effect we have an electric tension, an electric current of electrons flowing from a surface point to the core point. The Seebeck effect states that in an electrical circuit, if we have 2 points at a different temperature, a tension, electrical tension, is establishing between these 2 points, and this is probably enough to trigger and to maintain alive the cold fusion reactions that are happening in the sun. In the next videos we will speak about these reactions, and we will also try to make energetic calculations to arrive to find the right temperature of the sun for a sun that is not so far from the Earth, but only at 6 or 5 or 4 or 3,000 kilometers far from the Earth. We know that the sun is making a spiral over a cone over the Earth at 6,600 kilometers 8 on the Cancer tropic and 3,300 kilometers 8 on the Capricorn tropic. I thank you very much because you have followed me in this video. See you on the next one. Bye bye. Ciao.